Welcome back to another episode of Artist to Artist presented by Artist Republic. I am Christian, and again, it is me and just me today. Please remember to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is sponsored by 11 Music Career Center. You can make money with your music faster with career coaching. Learn more at turnupto11.com. And if you'd like to learn even more, go and listen to last week's episode of the podcast where we talked to one of the founders of 11 Music Career Center. It's a great episode. I highly suggest it. It was the first one that I did by myself, so I'm feeling a lot more confident today. But let's get into this week's guest. Nashville indie pop artist, writer, and producer Blake Ruby uses a blend of pop melodies, jazz influence, and an honest, introspective songwriting style to blur the lines of genres and musical taste. Amassing nearly 3 million streams to date across platforms, Ruby is quickly making a statement in 2021 with a fresh sonic landscape. He released his first single, A Lot Less Happening, in June, and his most recent release, I Surrender, is an off-kilter art ballad that was quickly added to Spotify's Fresh Finds playlist. Ruby is set to release one more single in the late summer to be accompanied by a music video. But that's all I'm going to say for now. Let's bring him in and see what else he's got to say.
So I grew up when I was a kid. My grandparents have a church in Reisterstown, Maryland. And so I grew up learning how to play drums and guitar and stuff and played in the music team in the church. That was kind of like my original background with music. And that's such a great like environment because everyone's so appreciative and not very judgy. So when you're a kid and you're learning, it's just like a good environment to grow up in. But I loved it. But I never really took it too seriously until like high school when I started this band with a bunch of friends. We had like it was called Red Couch, and that was kind of like my first step into wanting to do music more seriously, getting into like production and recording and writing songs more. And then like I traveled to Belmont University in Nashville. That's where I ended up going to college and just had a bunch of friends there. We like started jamming. I started writing and recording my own stuff on just like a 2-track in my dorm room. That's kind of like how I started recording, was just in my dorm room. And then I went to Belmont for music business, but I did a lot of audio engineering stuff too. I did a lot of electives. And Belmont has like incredible facilities. Like they own Ocean Way Studios in Nashville, and a couple on-campus studios like CSA is Columbia Studios. It was Bob Dylan's recorded there. There's so many other people, but that's the one I always remember. And Patsy Cline, I think. Uh, but I just basically I fell in love with recording. I'd always loved writing songs, but I never knew how much I would love recording until I got to college. But so I worked at those studios and just that's kind of how I got, I guess, started dipping my toes in the recording industry and like stuff like that. But I'm kind of flying, so if you want to stop me at all, let me know.
No, man. No, man. It's great stuff. I'd love
Yeah,
to dig in a little bit more about, what you're doing now.
yeah. So now, I guess since all of that, I like through college and stuff. I just from putting out music and recording it just because I loved it. I kind of started making connections in the industry, and right when I graduated, I got signed by Black River, their publishing company on Music Row in Nashville, and so I'm about a year into my deal with them, and that's kind of been like a huge jump into like the world of producing, engineering, like artist stuff too, and but right now I'm just kind of like I'm really trying to start leaning a little bit more pop and trying to write great songs that are still creative, still that I love and are still weird and have like influences from other things, but stuff that I feel like is going to push me into like a more pop direction. Um, so that's what I've been trying to do as of late.
Yeah, that's sweet. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned pop. I'm actually currently watching this documentary series on Netflix called This Is Pop. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, man, I love it. It's
It's a
great. I watched
great,
it a couple weeks.
yeah. It's I think I'm like 2 episodes away from finishing it. But I found, in talking about Nashville, I found the country pop episode particularly interesting because they do talk a lot about how in the industry right now, or not right now, always really, um,
Yeah,
there has been this kind of pushback against pop music. um, People want to lean into their respective genres and kind of stay true, quote unquote, stay true to that genre. So I guess from your perspective, what's kind of pushing you in the direction of pop?
I think when I and like I guess I gotta define kind of what pop means to me too, because I feel like what pop music is it's just popular music. And the reason why pop music is popular is because it's effective. And a lot of times it's relevant. It's like, to the culture of the day, but like a lot of times it's also um just a little clearer. It's just easier for people to like hear and grab onto, whether it's the melodies or whether it's the energy of the song, really. And so I guess like what I want to do is like take the influences that I love, whether it's like jazz stuff or like funky things or like folk music too, and kind of like just kind of push whatever the song is into a direction that's more like emotional, more effective, more like just try to like hone it in, as opposed to just being like, oh, it's DIY, it's cool, I recorded it, so and so. Like actually really try to like create like a really good work of art that's going to be able to be maybe marketed better, or maybe like it's more, current. It's like, you know what I mean, like
I
it,
do.
like you can make any type of music pop. So pop music is just, in my mind, the most effective music, the music that's going to touch the most amount of people, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the statement that you said about making it an effective work of art versus, just some cookie cutter uh, song that someone would put out and expect to blow up. I think what I've noticed is the artists that truly make their music a work of art are the ones that become the most successful. They're not just doing the status quo and expecting that to get them somewhere. You're taking kind of a different approach to it, which is, I think, a lot of people appreciate.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, because ultimately, like, there's no way to cheat an emotion to somebody. Like, you can dress it up a lot with great marketing, great PR, a great image, whatever. But, like, if the song doesn't give the artist and the people creating it the emotion that they want it to give other people, it's like, it's very clear in my mind. Like, I've worked on tracks that have been very cookie cutter or have been very, like, let's just crank this out and get the moolah. And then there's people that are like, yo, I want to put my heart and soul into this. And those are always the more effective tracks, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like even if it's only more effective to one person, like you get what I'm saying? Like if you have a great song and you have the money and the market and you can push it to a lot of people, that song is going to be more effective than a bad song that has the same amount of opportunity in my mind. So it's just
Yeah.
so much of this industry is like being able to create good art, but also start, getting the momentum to share it more and more with more people, whether it's the money or whether it's like the influence or whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of, I think the world in general, especially since the internet has come around, is moving in this direction that responds to something that's more genuine than manufactured.
For sure.
Um, and like me, I have a film background, so something that I've always been taught is if the cinematography or the story doesn't have some kind of an emotional value to it that people can attach to, it's going to fall flat. And I think that's the same for music. I mean, like you were saying, it's that emotion that gets people uh, to like really resonate and get behind what you're putting out.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and I listened to some of your music, before this, and first of all, I just want to say, great music. I love it. Like
Thanks.
added to my list. Great stuff,
Appreciate it.
dude. I want to talk about, I guess, switching the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
How you've been able to get your music streamed so much. I mean, you have what, about 3 million streams to date,
Yeah,
maybe
about that
more.
much.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what are some of the ways what are some of the ways that you've been able to get your music heard?
So most of my success so far has been Spotify, and it's all been really organic, to be honest. Like it's like I haven't done any big pushes on, so like I kind of just share it. I've just been blessed to be able to just share my music to my network of friends and fans, and people just and with I feel like with the modern release market or whatever, it's like, and with algorithms, with whatever hits, like I have put out songs that in the same period of time that haven't really got heard at all, but then I have one or two that have really broken out pretty heavily. So my streams are, it's interesting. I've got like one or two songs that are really hitting really hard. Like Dirty Laundry is one song that just keeps getting saved. Like it's on Discover Weekly and on people's daily mixes, and it's just like keeps like people just really like the song a lot. I really don't, I didn't, there was not a lot of push at the beginning. It just kind of slowly kept growing algorithmically, um and and then that kind of like helped the rest of my catalog start to rise with it, um and give me a little bit more streams on from like the more like fans or like grassroots like level of things. So it's weird because I like there hasn't there's I don't really think there's been like a clear reason how I've gotten a lot of streams. I just feel like I've just been blessed with people wanting to keep saving my stuff. But
And that's like the
yeah,
best way. I think that's the best way for an artist to get recognition and, I guess, clout in the industry, is organically, right?
yeah,
Someone hears your song, they like it, they put it on a playlist, a bunch of people listen to that playlist, they like the song, so they add it to their playlist, and then it just kind of compounds and continues down that road to where, I believe when I looked at it, it had like 1.5 million streams, the Dirty Laundry
yeah,
specifically.
getting up there.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I guess, like, when you started seeing those numbers go up, like, how did you feel? What was that like?
I I've always just tried to look at every like new level as just a new opportunity to continue to make good art and have it be heard. Like, I don't think that I ever saw the streams as like, oh, sick, like I've got a lot of streams now. It's more as like, okay, now how can I make all of the rest of my music like as effective as that one song? So like I see Dirty Laundry kind of as like a benchmark for me. Like if I feel like I have a song that's just as good or better, then like I'm on a good track because like that song's effective. And that's not the only reason or why you'd put stuff out. Like sometimes you want to release a song because you love it, it means something to you, whatever. But I mean that's how I feel about all my music. Um but like, yeah, I feel like every like level of success that I've gotten to, even if it's just like small steps, I try to see that now as like my new normal of like where I want to always stay at. Like I don't want to go below that now in terms of quality or effectiveness.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think, what was that?
Oh, nothing. I was done.
Oh, okay. Got you.
I'm
No,
pretty
and I
caffeinated,
think
so I'm
I
mild
got
right
you.
now.
What you got there? Is that a Celsius? Looks like a Celsius.
I don't know. It was one of my family members brought it this week. It's called a Spire.
Oh,
This
okay.
is not an ad. This is not an advertisement.
This is not sponsored.
This is not sponsored. It's called Aspire, and it's really jacking me up. So I don't know if you guys are sensitive to caffeine out there. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
pretty
I'm
good.
pretty pretty sensitive to caffeine on my end. I don't
Yeah,
know if you've ever had
me too.
Celsius before, or if you even have it out there.
I think we. I've never
Um,
had it though.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, half a can just hypes me up way
Have you
too
had a
much.
bang before? One of my friends is
Oh,
is a rep for them, and they are like horrendous. They're terrible.
They
I
are
don't know.
so
I don't know.
tasty,
Drink 'em.
so tasty, but just destroy your life forever.
Yeah, man. No, thank you.
If anyone
Sorry,
from
Marshall.
Bang, yeah, if anyone from Bang is listening to this, I'm not saying that your brand is bad. I'm just saying that it makes me really anxious, and I hate that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And to anyone listening, this is not a sponsor for energy drinks. If that's what gets you through the day,
No,
that's what gets you through the day. Go for it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I have a very like I'm off and on with the caffeine. I can go through periods where I'm not on it at all, and then right now I'm like a coffee in the morning, and energy drink midday, and I'm chilling. But I don't like having to rely on it.
yeah, me either. I get it. Um, that's funny. I guess going off the topic of caffeine, um, when you're sitting in a studio making a song, how long are your sessions usually? How do you what is your process, I guess, when you're making that song?
Uh, I think it just depends on like it depends on the momentum of the session. Like sometimes I'll go in and try to work on something, or I'll have a co-writer, whatever it is, and we'll get in, and after like an hour, we're both pretty spent, and it's like, okay, that's it. Sometimes, most of the time, you try to push through a little bit, but sometimes it's like you just don't have it that day, and or whatever. But then also there are sessions that I feel like I'm working 8 hours straight, and just like cranking something out. Um, it just kind of depends. It depends on the environment. Like if I have booked studio time, normally I try to just like milk it as much as I can and just work through the session. But it's just like important to read the room. Like if people are tired or if like somebody's frustrated or whatever. Like I think making music is you gotta live with the people that you make it with. Like not necessarily like actually have be roommates with them. I just mean like you gotta like talk to them about their lives, and you gotta get food. You gotta get drinks. Like you gotta I don't know. I think that part of the industry is just as important, if not more important, than being in the room with the creative. Like I think it's you gotta like spend time, do some life with people that you create with in order to make something good.
Yeah, it's that networking aspect of it. Even if it's not really networking, it's just having that relationship with the people that you're working with, right? Um,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people who are very gung ho and serious about this career tend to forget about that sometimes. Where to them it's a business transaction, and that's all that it is. But it's important.
yeah. I
I
don't like
think.
that at all.
Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying like I don't subscribe to that idea of like networking because I
Yeah,
feel like you're you know I feel like music industry is a service industry, right? Like we as artists, we're our livelihood, or as producers and whatever, like our livelihood is to serve the people that we're creating this art for. Because if I wanted to make art just for me, I would just make it and listen to it whenever I wanted. But like the fact that I'm releasing the music, the fact that like the people I work with want people to hear it, like that's like my service to them. Like I'm serving them an emotion or a memory or an experience. So it's like I don't think it's transactional at all. I feel like if you go into the industry, especially the music industry, with like a servant attitude and just wanting to like serve the people around you, then you're always going to be fulfilled. You're always going to be full, like you're always going to be able to like to give somebody time or an opportunity without worrying about like what you're getting from it.
totally. And it strays away from that self-centered idea of like this is my career and
Right.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. I think you hit it on the head by saying, serving the people around you, serving your team, serving your audience. I think that is one fantastic way for artists to really make a name for themselves in the industry.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's tough. It's tough to navigate, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the semantics trying to figure out what they need to do in what situations. But I think if you're just a human being at your core, I think that's going to get you really far.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I remembered from earlier when you said like when you were talking about the best way to get your music heard and whatever, doing it organically, like if anybody's listening to this and has considered it or gets emails about it, don't buy streams or followers. Like, don't do it because, like, first off, Spotify will flag your account and you'll never get on an editorial ever. So don't buy don't buy streams. I've seen people that I know do it, and I've looked at their numbers because you can compare on Spotify. I've like looked at stuff, and it'll be like a square wave. It'll like just complete. They'll cut you off basically, and then your account will be kind of screwed forever. So just don't do it. It doesn't help you at all. It's not worth the clout. Just grow organically, please.
Yeah, I mean, and
I
if
try to
you're
share that whenever I can because it's like it's so easy for people to get tempted to do that, but it just doesn't help you.
it is, but the way I look at it is if you're an artist and you're doing it for the right reasons, like you're doing it because you want to make music and you want people to hear it, why on earth would you buy bots to listen to your music? You're not it's
Right.
not real people listening
It's
to your art.
counterproductive.
If you're in
Yeah.
it, if you're in it for a quick buck, then yeah, maybe that'll work for like a month. But again, like I don't think the industry wants people like that in the first place. I think the industry that wants people to succeed wants the people that are in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and another thing is like from my experience, the industry doesn't care about numbers; they care about engagement.
Yeah.
Like the industry wants artists or creatives that people want to know about them. People want to hear them speak. People want to comment on their posts and like share their stuff. Like no one cares about the numbers. It's all about like creating buzz and creating like an environment, creating like a community of people. Like that's like if you
That's
can create a community as an artist, even if it's like 6 people, if you have a community, it will grow. You just have to keep that vibe, I feel like.
yeah,
And
and
you know, that's important to me.
it's no,
I care a lot about that.
it's super important. And one thing that we've talked about before on this podcast is if you want to make a living with your music in this day and age, I think the number is like you really only need to have like 100 true fans or 1,000 true fans or something along
1,000,
those
I
lines.
think.
It's a
Yeah, I've
thousand,
read
right?
read concept before, yeah.
Yeah, because like if you have 1,000 true fans and they spend, I think it's like $100 once a year, all 1,000 of them, you've just made six figures in a year.
Yeah.
And that comes back to that idea of community. It's you have to build your musical career around the people that care and want to invest their time and money into you.
Yeah. And it looks different for every artist too.
It does.
Like I the one of the coolest things about being in Nashville and being in like a artistic musical community is seeing everybody's different models of artistry. Like my model looks so different than so many of my other friends, and we're like maybe around the same level or around the same like place in our careers, but like if we all just tried to copy each other, only one of us would be successful because one of us, it would be that person's model of success, right? Like
Right.
for me, I'm an artist, but I also love mixing. Like I love engineering, I love that side of it, and I also love the community side of it. I love the DIY nature of stuff, like throwing events, like that kind of stuff. But some artists like might just love to write songs and blow up on Instagram, and like that's their model, or whatever it is. It's like you got to just find your thing. I hated hearing that for the longest time. I was always like, no, there's definitely something that no one's telling me, but it's like you just have to like go for it. And I'm saying all of this from still not reaching like a serious level of success as an artist. Like I still have a long way to go in my career, but I just know that the model has worked so far, and it's exponential growth always. Like if you stick to yourself, like if you look at the numbers, it's going to grow exponentially.
Totally. Yeah, and I think a lot of people again just get caught up in this idea that there's some kind of a formula that gets you to success.
Yeah.
And there's not. I mean, there's a formula for each individual, right? Like you have your formula, Jay-Z has his own formula, Kanye has
Right.
his own formula. and you're gonna make people mad. You know, some people aren't gonna like you, but a lot of people might like you. It just, you know, I think a lot of people need to realize that like music is very subjective and it's not for everyone. So don't expect it to be something that everyone's going to listen to.
Right. Yeah. And on that level, this is something I've been talking a lot about with my friends. I've been reading this Stephen King book just called On Writing. It's kind of autobiographical, but um, it's mostly him just telling anecdotes of his career as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's a novelist. If anybody hasn't heard of Stephen King, he's incredible. He writes amazing books. But his book, like one of the things he always talks about is um, write and create with the door closed and edit with the door open. Meaning, like when you're creating something, when you're writing something, it's best to do it with you and your collaborators only. Like, don't send it to your sister or your, you know, don't send it to anyone until it's done. Like, finish it to your best ability, the thing that you love, and then send it to all your people and be like, it's done. Like, what should I edit? What should I change? Whatever, like get it where you
Yeah.
want it to go first. Cause then that's going to be you the most.
I think I want to jump back in and
Yeah.
talk a little bit about this new song that's coming out in August, Momentum. Tell me all about it.
Yeah. So this song I wrote in March of last year. So like right when quarantine kind of hit. I was in Nashville. It was my senior year at Belmont, and so I came home. I think it was like the third week of March for spring break. I just was going home to visit family, and I stayed there until September. So like it was not expected at all. So I think it was like a couple weeks in when I was kind of just I kind of had felt like all the momentum ironically the word, but like all the momentum that I had going into this last spring of school and like all the opportunities. I had like a tour lined up in the summer and stuff, and like within 2 weeks, it all kind of just completely fell flat. And so that this song was kind of just about like a lot of the thoughts I was going through during COVID, which were like, wow, I'm so bummed about all this that I'm missing out on, but also like don't beat yourself up too much because like you're with your family, like you guys haven't been around each other this much this whole time. And there was just a lot of like bipolar or like borderline personality things I was experiencing at that time where I just kind of was like trying to be self-aware but like it was like that gross loop of feeling bad about feeling bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so so I kind of was experiencing that a ton, and that's kind of what that song is about. It's kind of just like a stream of consciousness about like a lot of those feelings I was feeling during COVID. But it kind of ends on a good note of like, you know, it's open ended, but it's also like, everything's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to still kind of I can't really wrap my head around all of the stuff I write about sometimes, but
I think
you
it's
know,
I think it's a very relatable topic, especially right now. And as things start to end, hopefully, it seems like they're coming back suddenly again with this
yeah,
variant. But whatever. Hopefully that doesn't beat us up like it did last year. But yeah, I love the concept. I think that's fantastic.
yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked on the song with two of my really close friends, Chris Donlin and Val Hoyt, and they're both great producers, writers. Val's an artist himself, and um, yeah, the two other singles that I just put out were worked on with those two dudes as well, and yeah, it was just we were kind of going for something that sounded kind of cold and synthetic, but had like some like raw elements, like the acoustic kind of drives the song, and then like there's a lot of like percussion that goes on in it and stuff too. But yeah, you guys will have to just wait to hear it, I guess. But it's a cool song. It's probably one of my favorites I've ever written. So I'm really excited for it to come out.
And that
I
comes
got a video
out
coming out. Oh, the 27th of August.
27th.
It's a Friday.
Cool.
Yeah, I got a music video. Another bunch of my friends produced that, and and shot it, and it's amazing. I was actually right before I got on here with you, I was like sending them some video notes and stuff for the next edit, and I'm really excited about it. It's really
Sweet.
really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it, listen to it. It's going to be great.
yeah, man. I'll send it to you early. If I get the edit soon, I'll kick it over to you so you can see it.
Yeah, I'd love that.
But it's super cool.
Well, being on the topic of kind of this thing that happened around the world this last
Yeah,
year, where do you see the industry going after all of this blows over? I'm thinking like big scale and then maybe with you personally as
right.
well.
I definitely think it's. I think that like the idea of having to be in a music city hub in certain ways is starting to dissipate a little bit. In other ways, it's not. Like it's like if you want to be at the top of your career, at the top of like whatever scene you're in, you have to be in that scene for sure. Like you have to go there, you have to live there, you got to make friends, go to bar. You got to like experience the environment in order to be successful in it, I think. But I am seeing a lot of people, a lot of writers that are going to take the Zoom thing way more seriously and do that way more full time, and then do like business trips into the big city to do bigger rights or whatever. So I definitely think it's going to be way more hybrid. And I think it's going to even keep getting more collaborative online. Like I've written with people from London, I've written with people out in LA, New York, and I'm in Nashville. Or well, when I was in Nashville a couple months ago, I was doing that all the time, and so that was really cool. You're able to connect with these people that are not in your area, and then maybe you do eventually go and meet up with them or whatever. But I think it's exciting though. I really think it's cool. I can't wait for live music to be like full force
Oh,
again.
I
So,
know.
I mean, I think there's nothing like being at a show, man, and playing shows. I mean, that is like the greatest thing ever. Um,
Yeah.
that's really where the music community is, is festivals, shows. Like, it's you can only go so far on the internet with like having that music community. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's interesting, man. It could just all bounce back and go back to the way it was, or it could just shoot into the future some other way too. I think it's going to keep evolving. It's always going to. Every industry does. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm definitely on board with you on that idea of like a hybrid experience for the industry. I think, the key players definitely need to continue being in those major music markets. But I think for the
Yeah.
people that can afford it and that can work pseudo remotely, I think the hybrid model works. I mean, I personally, I live out here in LA and I work remotely for Artist Republic, which is based in Rhode Island,
Cool.
Providence. So I definitely think it's doable. It's just, I think it has to be the right people doing the right things in the right places.
Yeah, and you got to know your strengths too. Like I feel like for the introverts out there, the Zoom thing is dope because you can sit in your living room with coffee and jump on, and if you want, you never have to talk to that person ever again.
Yep. Yep.
When you're done the like, But at the same time, like like I was saying earlier, like I love the community aspect of the industry. Like I love having people over and after the right, staying around and hanging out like that. Those midnight to 2 a.m. time frames of being with people that you're working with, like that stuff is always my favorite.
There's
So I definitely want the in-person thing to come back ASAP.
yeah,
But
there's something to be said about physical human interaction, shaking hands and
yeah,
clinking beer glasses together and just having a good time. Can't do that over
yeah,
Zoom.
man. It's just a little bit more tangible.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, I would say the annoying thing is like when you're trying to top line on something or like top line. Sorry, when you're trying to do like vocals or lyrics over a track that's over Zoom, it's so hard to communicate it
Oh yeah.
because of the latency. Like if it gets to the point where you can have like a no latency stream where you're both able to communicate somehow, kind of like on the same wavelength, that would be dangerously cool. But as of right now, it's like if you hum an idea, they're not gonna like hear it right.
Right.
So I don't know. There's some barriers still.
There are, but we're getting better. Technology's coming. Um, Cool, man. Well, we're starting to get towards the end here.
Nice.
I always like to ask this one final question before we wrap it up, and that is, what is one tip or piece of advice that you would give to an artist that might be listening to this right now?
Learn to record your own vocals. If you are an artist and you do not know how to record your own vocals, you need to learn how to do that. Please. It will save you so much money. It will save you so much time in mix notes or whatever and edits. Just learn how to edit and record your own vocals. It will save you so much in the future if you learn how to do that. Please. That is the only thing. Cause dude, it is, especially if you're an artist, writer, whatever during Zoom time and you didn't do that yet, it's not going away. Like you need to learn how to do that because maybe you still like and prefer to have somebody else do it and record you and everything. Like I do too. I prefer that, but it'll help you learn how to communicate with engineers. It'll help you learn how to communicate with producers, other artists, whatever. And it'll make you a better singer too. It's just like, that's one thing. That's my honorable mention answer because I was thinking about that before you even asked that question. So it's cool that you asked it, but I don't know. I would just say that like personally, like I think that in order to have longevity in the music industry, you have to believe in yourself. And there's going to be a lot of times where no one's going to believe in you or only one or two people will. And I feel like you have to learn how to believe in yourself in order to have a long career. And like, I feel like my faith in God definitely helps me believe in myself. And I believe that he's got something cool in store for me at all times. And so I'm like ready to keep going with this thing. Cause it can be exhausting, like, especially if you're a young artist or you're new at this and you're trying to get into it, like having faith in the process, having faith in for me it's the Lord, like having faith in your community and your friends and family to help you push through it. If it's the right thing for you, like that's what I would say. It's like, it's a tough industry for sure. So yeah.
Awesome, dude. I love that answer. Really great stuff. But with that, we are going to wrap today's episode up. Thank you, Blake, for coming and joining us. Me, I guess. It's not really us right now. It's just myself. But for those listening, please go check out Blake Ruby on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your music. And be sure to check out his new song, Momentum, coming out on August 27th, along with a very pretty music video that I hope to see soon.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, please remember to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
When I look into your eyes, I'm mesmerized, I've memorized every constellation on your skin. I'm breathing in, breathing out. When the mornings rise and the evenings fall, the curtain call, it brings me back to you again. No, I don't wanna win. I'd rather lose myself in you. Whenever I just need a friend, you make me feel so new. Oh, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of tomorrow. There's so much uncertainty. I've been trying not to care about the things that tomorrow brings upon me. There's no need to worry you. You make my dreams come true. And any night you're feeling far away, I'm reminded of your grace. I love the way you understand when I need time alone. And if I feel I'm going astray, I'm re-enchanted by your gaze. You'll never have to wonder why I'm reaching for my phone. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of tomorrow. I've been trying not to care about the things that tomorrow brings up on me. Baby, yeah, you make my dreams come true.